When OSHA closes them down, a man who was dismissed for hurrying to work while ill grins. In a perfect world, all businesses would treat their workers fairly and with respect. Personal development would be supported in a supportive and upbeat work atmosphere. We don't live in an ideal world, which is a terrible fact. But after experiencing unjust treatment at work, one Redditor came up with a narrative that had such a gratifying ending that it went viral. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. Unfortunately, the truth is that most individuals in our world barely make ends meet with the 60 to 70 hours of effort they put in each week. Workers face these kinds of abuses anywhere in the globe. Furry_control, a Reddit member, was one such employee. But Furry_control was able to exact the ideal retribution. Furry_control initially revealed his spicy tale on Reddit's r/pro-revenge forum. Furry_control, a worker at a well-known pancake shop, shared in their post how they notified their supervisor they would be staying in the hospital. When things didn't go out as planned, a legendary vengeance tale was created. The previous general manager was a really great guy, and I had a very good friend who had just been promoted to shift manager. I was fairly well liked among the staff. Regretfully, he was moved without his will to a different store. His replacement was a terrible, egotistical shift manager that nobody liked, but this was only the start of my problems. I worked 6 days a week, putting in between 60 and 70 hours, and I only took Tuesdays off. My shifts varied from 8 hours to 18 hours, a crucial detail later. For years, I worked this schedule without complaining. Then one day, things started to go south. Regretfully, I became really sick at work on September 10th for an unknown reason. I had excruciating, stabbing pain in my lower right abdomen along with this. It was around 12 in the morning when I contacted the general manager to let her know that I was going to the ER. "You will be fired if you leave," she threatened to tell me. Since I was in desperate need of this employment at the time and didn't want to lose it, I made the decision to endure the worst possible pain. I kept track of the passing hours. I was eager for my shift to be over. It was terrible to work through the 2 hours I had left. When 2 in the morning finally arrived, I left work right away to visit the hospital. After arriving, I was brought to the hospital nearly right away since the results of the scan revealed that my appendix was inflamed. I informed the general manager over the phone that I was admitted to the hospital and that I will provide her with updates. I was very mistaken to believe that everything would be well as long as my supervisor was informed. Her answer? "Can you find someone to cover your shift in the morning if you're going to try to get out of work?" A few individuals? Recall that it was around 3:30 a.m. at this time. She asked me to cover my next shift, which was at 8 a.m. the next day. I received word a few hours later that I would require an appendectomy, which would happen early the next morning. I informed my manager over the phone after agreeing and signing the release. I informed her that I would notify her following surgery, even though I would not be able to work for at least a few days. It's crucial for her to know that I kept her updated during my whole absence. After receiving several allegations that I was lying, I even gave her a photo of myself sleeping in a hospital bed. If anyone is still interested, I still have the texts. The surgery proceeded without a hitch, but it was discovered that I had an appendix infection with gangrene that seemed to have spread. I ended up spending 2 full weeks in the hospital as a result of this. I drove to work almost immediately after being released from the hospital at midday to let them know I was okay to return and to give in a note from the hospital attesting to my presence. The regional manager was present, which surprised me. When I went in, the front desk was occupied with a talk between the regional and general managers. I told them I was okay to return to work and slipped the note toward them on the desk. The general manager gave me a really shocked expression. "I apologize, but you were fired for not calling or showing up for work for 2 weeks. I assured her that I had documentation and that I had kept her updated. With a tone of irritation, she interrupted me and promised to give me another chance. Fortunately, I had my friend the shift manager with me when I returned that evening to perform my shift. Along with teaching a person I had never seen before, I was also a floor supervisor and trainer, so this was not unusual. Later, when my buddy summoned me into the office, I found out that the reason I was rehired was solely to prevent me from suing for wrongful termination, and my successor was the one I was training right now. Even though I was astonished, we came up with a strategy right away. This restaurant was filthy. There were enormous roaches in the kitchen and eating area, black mildew, rotting food mixed in with fresh meals, and severe water leaks that caused the dining room's carpet to practically fall apart. Name it. Despite our repeated reports of these problems to the general manager, nothing ever changed. Using the justification that our labor was too high, my friend sent the trainee home, and I used the rest of my shift to take photographs of every continuous health code violation I saw. I even followed culinary instructions to ensure that I could take images of the kitchen and grill without raising any red flags with other staff members. At last, the following morning arrived. The general manager called me when I awoke. As expected, she insisted that I give in my uniform as I was going to be fired right away. When I drove up to inquire why I had been fired, she told me that I was a sluggish worker who often grumbled about my hours worked. Please keep in mind that I worked 64 hours a week on average and never once complained. Not wanting to debate, I just turned in my uniform and walked out. But my strategy doesn't finish there. I was one of the few employees with a permit for food safety. All of the material from the lesson was still fresh in my mind because I had just renewed my permit. I also well recall the health inspector telling us in class that all we needed to do to report something at work was to come in, ask for them, and provide proof. I went immediately to the health department, requested to speak with him, and supported my claim with all the photos I had collected and written descriptions of each infraction. He told me that the restaurant would find it difficult to refute with the photographic proof. He also told me that the following morning, he would do a surprise inspection. When I woke up the next morning, I saw texts from my general manager labeling me a whiner and snitch. Fortunately, my friend was able to videotape the whole inspection from his workplace. I will not be sharing the tale because of its recentness and the fact that it mentions names and reveals faces. However, it was stunning and revealed who the real liar in the circumstance was. For permitting unlicensed workers to work, the regional manager was hit with a hefty $7,000 fine, and the restaurant was told to cease operations so that cleaning could take place. But because it was a marginally profitable franchise, the owner of many other franchises shut it down and fled. Even though I would like to feel sorry for those who are still jobless, I don't. The tale really has a happy ending for the decent employees because many of them have gone on to greater things. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.